Welcome to Distilled, the Bourbon Podcast, where we drink bourbon and talk about it. My name is Brent. I'm here with my co-hosts, Brian, Chuck, and Aaron. Guys, welcome back to the church. It's good to be here, isn't it?
I didn't know we actually had a motto where we drink bourbon and talk about
We got a motto, man.
I love it.
What's the motto with you? So today, we're going to talk about that third trend in bourbon, right? We've had the single barrels. They were delicious. We've had the blended products like Booker's and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those were fantastic. And today, the third leg of that stool is the finished products.
Huge trend. It's all over the place. I remember my first exposure to it at Angel's Envy, where they were finishing bourbon in port barrels, and they were finishing their rye in used rum barrels. And I was thinking, like, is that even legal? I didn't think that it was. I didn't dislike what was happening, but I just didn't think it was according to the letter of the federal statute or the federal regulation. But obviously the industry and the government allowed it. And to my way of thinking, it's just a new, exciting kind of thing. I'll say more about what I think what the end product can end up being. Yeah. But anyway, people are finishing with different kind of barrels, and they're double finishing in new jarred
So they can be deliciously complex, or they can be overwhelming.
Are you
Absolutely.
Both, right? Are you a fan, Aaron?
I'm a fan of finished product. And if I were drinking myself, I'm probably going to stick to the standard bourbon, rye. But I think what the finished product does is it introduces bourbon to a completely different audience.
Yeah.
People who are wine drinkers can get behind a bourbon that's aged in a wine because they can pick out those flavors that they're used to drinking. And even though it burns just a little bit more than what the red wine that they normally drink in the glass, they're like, ooh, I can pick out those same flavors. So, I love, in my mind, the more people you can put bourbon and whiskey in their hands, the better.
Especially in Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brian, it's got to be a good thing for business in terms of more variety. You've now got a dozen more Peerless bottles that you can sell, right?
For sure. Every distillery has a bunch more products now. But I remember my first experience with a finished product. Jim Beam came out with the sherry finish.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe this was before they sold. And it was, I think it was $200 MSRP. And this is when they would actually let you sample it.
Yeah.
A $200 bourbon product. So I was like, oh, it's got to be good. It's $200. So I sampled it, and I was like, at that time, I wasn't into bourbon that much. And I sampled it, and I was like, this is absolutely terrible. But send me a case. Somehow I'll buy it. And they did. But to this day, sherry finish is not my thing.
Well, you'll be happy to know I did not bring out the finish in absinthe.
I'm sitting here wishing I'm the opposite. I love.
Oh, I'm
that
stunned.
bottle.
Are you stunned, Chuck?
By him? No. By him? No.
Well, what we do have here is 4 fantastic finished products. Well, we'll see if they're fantastic. I brought the original one that I had, the first one that I'm aware of.
So you're defining finish not just by
it could be in a rum bottle, a rum barrel, or
in a used other alcohol product, but by taking a virgin bourbon product and
doing something else to it to enhance
putting it in a
flavor.
different barrel of some sort, whether it be a unaged or aged bourbon barrel or port or sherry or.
So to me, this is the OG. Yeah. This is the Woodford Reserve Double Oak. It is. It's my OG. This was my go-to product for 2 years, probably. I probably didn't buy anything else other than this. It rocked my world when it first came out. I took it to we had it at the lake. Everybody was bringing out bottles of Rip Van Winkle and Taylor, and I didn't have. Number one, I didn't have the money for it. Number two, I had no clue what those products were. I bring out Woodford Double Oak, and you know which bottle was empty at the end of the night? The good old Woodford. Okay. So
nobody else wanted to drink what
they didn't want to drink their product. Hey, well, that maybe. So we'll see if this still holds up.
Whoa,
this is crazy,
man! This nose is nuts.
I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say it.
I swear it's like you're sitting in church as a little kid and your grandma hands you a Werther's and says, "If you just shut up until the preacher gets done." Yes, ma'am. I'll eat as many of those, and I won't say another word. It's nothing. It's straight caramel.
It's amazing.
I don't remember it being that sweet though.
All right, now I've got to taste it.
Uh-oh. It's a little ethanol coming through first.
Oh, wow.
What is it? This is 90 proof, I think.
I think you're right. Okay, it's that nose just prepared you for the most amazing thing you ever had in your life, and
it's like wah wah.
Well, it's all right.
It's okay.
It's good.
I think it was the best thing out there at the time.
The sound effect I heard in my brain after I had a sip. Go, wah wah wah.
Charlie Brown's T-shirt.
There you go. Brian, you don't like this at all, do you?
It's okay. So it reminds me. So my niece turned 21 about a year or two ago, and she worked for me for a short time, and she knew I had all this great bourbon in my house. So I said, what do you want to try for your 21st birthday? And she said, I want to try Bumbu rum. I'm like, Bumbu rum?
You've got this whole cabinet. Bumbu rum.
I take Bumbu rum home because I didn't have any at the house.
Of course not.
And this is
that the only bottle of that you ever bought in your life?
Yes. And she finished it off by the end of the night, and she didn't feel so good the next night. But, the next day.
That's the way God intended on your 21st birthday.
It's sweet. It's not my thing. Can I drink it a pour or two? Sure, but not my thing.
And it just brings me back to when your senses start playing together. Because now, as I nose it, it's good, but I've tasted it, so I know that it's not as good as I originally thought. Yeah. But man, that first nose,
it was surprising.
That'd be a fun episode.
It was so vivid.
Just don't drink anything. Just rate this bourbon on the nose, and then come back for part 2 and
try to match them up.
Try it and see. That'd be fun.
Oh, that'd be fun. We might have to do that. Well, I think we've set the floor for today. This is good. Not great.
I'll never diss Woodford.
Yeah.
I think it's a great beginner's whiskey, and this probably is a great beginner's finished, if double oak can be considered finished. I guess we're using the term, broadly. I'm not going to walk out on anybody for serving me Woodford double oak.
There's definitely oak there, so I get that. There's not the caramel that you thought there was going to be
on the palate. Yeah,
but it's not bad.
It's fine.
I say this probably 100 times. If that were 115 proof, would we pick up the caramel that we smell on the nose? Would we pick up all the flavors that they intended it to be?
I think we would. I mean, the proof is so low that it makes it sweet.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of complexity that could be there if it's at 115 proof as opposed to 90.
Well, all right. Well, what do we have next? What are we looking at next, Brian?
So next we have Huber Starlight, which is based and distilled in Indiana.
But not MGP, right?
Not MGP. No, they originally started off as a winery. And 2012, 2013, they got into the distillation of whiskey, and they've had a number of great products they released. We've done several single barrels with them. Never done a honey barrel. I'm looking forward to doing one in the future, but it's exceptional pour.
So this is a honey barrel.
It is a honey barrel.
Okay, so when I think honey barrel, I'm expecting some sweet, cloying,
American honey from Wild Turkey, right?
Yeah, which honey infused as opposed to a traditional honey barrel that they then put the bourbon in and for a short time and age it.
And we've had a great. I'm not sure we had it on the podcast, but we've in the turret. Or Environs, we've had that Bourbon Rabbi.
We had it on the Bourbon Rabbi episode. And if you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it.
It's so subtle.
Chaim is a brilliant guy and so much fun, and does great. He does 3 great bourbons, and one of them is a very subtle but complex honey finish.
I was so surprised.
Yeah,
I was prepared to be so disappointed, and I was astonished.
Yeah, it's really good.
And Starlight is doing, when you think about finishing bourbons, I mean, some people think of rum or port, like you were saying. They are like, they've got a Hungarian whiskey barrel finish. They've got, I mean, you name it, they've probably done it or are doing it at the moment. They've done a maple syrup barrel. They've done the cigar batch where they age it in Amberana barrels. I mean,
yeah,
everything you can think of.
You know, Casey
either
Jones, tried
or doing it.
Casey Jones has a maple moonshine that is really good. I didn't bring it out today. I did pull it to consider it, but since it's a moonshine, I didn't bring that. But of course, it's 50% corn, 50% sugar cane, and then they finish it in a maple barrel, a maple syrup barrel. Oh. It's pretty good, and it's subtle enough where it's not sappy sweet, right? So let's turn our attention back to this. What do you get? Honey on the nose?
I tell you what I get is like butter and honey. This makes me think.
Okay.
I got hungry in the middle of the night, and I went down and I made some toast, and I smeared some butter, and I got some honey on there, and this smells like the whole product.
Okay.
So I've talked about my grandma enough on this episode, but my grandma used to make homemade biscuits. Every single morning. My granddad was a coal miner.
I love your grandma.
She would get up and she would make the homemade biscuits. And when I stayed the night, we would get the homemade butter, the honey. It's not overly sweet. It's not what you would expect when you hear honey barrel.
No, not at all.
It's just enough sweetness.
Yeah.
It's super subtle.
It's very subtle. I mean, I don't like sweetness, as we've spoke on this podcast several times. It's very subtle. It's approachable. I mean, I think even, people new into the industry, into bourbon, would really enjoy this.
Very good. I like this product a lot.
I approve.
Yeah.
What's the proof?
110.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't seem like it's.
It tastes like a 90 proof bourbon. I mean,
it's right at that proof where it brings out all the complexity, all the flavor, I mean, it's not honey like, I'm trying to think. It's floral honey. It's when you think of Indiana and you think of farmland, it's that honey, the bees buzzing around the honey hive. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's almost like honeysuckle.
Yes, it's good.
That's surprising. I'm not sure this is going to be quite as subtle.
Yeah, Angel's Envy. I've never had a subtle Angel's Envy. What is the finish on this one, Chuck?
I think this is finished in port.
So this is the bourbon, not the rye?
This is the bourbon. This is the single bourbon. This was a barrel pick by the Men's Bourbon Society of Henderson that I was in on.
This is the new one, right?
This is the new one.
I haven't got my bottle yet. Do we have some left?
Oh, yeah, we have plenty left.
Man, I was at your place today and I didn't get it.
Well, it's not on the shelves, so you have to ask for it.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll ask for it next time I'm there.
I did ask for my Buffalo Trace, and they were out. Sorry.
No, I got one in the back for you.
Oh, do you?
We got you, Bob.
All right, man.
Yeah. We got you, Bob.
I dropped your name. Didn't work.
It didn't work. Yeah. Well, that's because everybody drops my name.
I know, right? What? I'm not the only one that does that. Brian had a bottle for me. I don't.
Okay, so as far as I know, all Angel's Envy products are finished. Right. First time I ever encountered it. As far as I know, the first time it ever existed in the world, in my world certainly. So this was part of a bourbon pick by our local bourbon society. So Tim and I went up there. Didn't know him before. Had a great time with him. Went to Angel's Envy. Interesting pick process. They coach you through the pick process more than any place I've ever been before.
Really?
Like
tasting? I was going to say, coach you through meaning what?
Well, so like we've done some barrel picks like in the Rick House.
Right.
And it's just like literally drill a hole right then and there and pour something. What do you think? At Angel's Envy, you were in a very nice bar area, and they're actually kind of coaching you on what you might expect to find from this. And it was funny. There was one barrel that I didn't really care for, where I was saying this is way too much tannins, and the guy who was leading the tasting was not really neutral. He was saying you're probably going to find a lot of tannins in this, and I turned my card over and I said I'm finding a lot of tannins in this. So it wasn't completely hands off. It was much more elaborate.
Now do they do that after you've tasted?
No,
or?
no. I mean, while you're going through it, it was interesting.
So to me, that
it's kind of like
power of suggestion is so strong,
especially in the bourbon game.
I feel like I'm a Jedi mind trick is being played on me. Okay.
I had already tasted it, and I had already written a lot of tannins.
Yeah.
And 30 seconds later, the guy who was leading us through it said, "Now you might pick up a lot of tannins in this."
Okay.
So he wasn't telling us in advance, but it was more or less parallel.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're at the gym doing your first personal trainer workout, and after you've done 30 sit-ups, you're saying you might be feeling a little pain in your abdomen right now.
So what you're saying is, if you've done barrel picks in the past, it's probably not one that you would.
I mean, everyone has been different.
Have you ever been to a bad barrel pick though?
Never.
Never.
Well,
I mean,
I say it wasn't a bad pick, but Four Roses, it was so much like work. I've never worked so hard in my life as I did at the Four Roses.
I'm sorry you had to drink that much bourbon, my friend.
So what I will say about that is, a lot of these barrel picks are being done by Costco, Sam's Club. Walmart's doing barrel picks now. There's a lot of these chain liquor stores doing barrel picks, and they just have their management team who may or may not like bourbon go down and do a barrel pick. So they may be trained to kind of coach and walk through the barrel pick. We're in Kentucky. Most people drink bourbon.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank everybody else in the other 49 states too, but when we went to Chattanooga Whiskey Company, we were the only ones there that drank bourbon. The rest of them on the tour did not.
Holy.
Listen,
so
to Walmart, let me just say, I volunteer and tribute as a citizen of the Commonwealth to go on any barrel pick that you choose me to go to.
Yes, all four
and if
of
you want
us.
to pay me to do that, I will be more than happy to go along.
Absolutely, we'll charge you half.
Yeah, I am now an experienced barrel picker.
You are.
So, and I like to drill, Chuck. Yeah. I like to drill it and go.
Yeah. So this is the Angel's Envy.
Yep.
Finished in a port barrel.
Woo.
Yeah.
I that's my thought.
I know.
Yeah, that's different.
And a buddy of mine.
That's red. That's just straight up port.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It is.
Where's the bourbon?
Yeah. So a buddy of mine in the Bourbon Society, he picked up his bottle, and again, this is essentially a store pick. So you won't find this exact bottle. This is single barrel.
Yeah.
But it's an example. And he sent me a picture of Angel's Envy that you get just right off the shelf, and this one, and it was kind of like amber and like dark red.
I was going to say that red. You can absolutely see the red in this one.
This is a whole different animal in terms of a finished product. This is not what you're going to find with Angel's Envy. I find Angel's Envy to be a nice subtle finish. This is profound.
Is this what you were going for when you went, or did you not? You didn't have anything in mind.
This is what excited us the most at the time.
I love that.
I like it
because so many times people
doesn't taste like bourbon to me.
When you go pick a store pick, so many times people have in the back of their mind, this is what I'm going for.
Yeah,
and here, I haven't tasted it yet, but on the nose,
because I want to hear
it. It seems like you just found the best of what was available.
Well, so that double oak Woodford on the nose is overwhelming, and on the taste kind of underwhelming.
I just can't get past the color. This is the color of Brent's shirt. Like, this is red in my glass. Yeah. This is red wine.
Yeah, if you can't see it, this is right before Christmas time. Brent's shirt says, "You serious, Clark?" If you know National Lampoon Vacation. And by the way, if you had seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Clark's dad, rather than Jack Daniels, might have gone with Angel's Envy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Glad we said grace on this episode.
All right, Brian, tell me what you're thinking about this one, because I want to hear your opinion.
He's not going to he's going to hate this.
Do yourself a favor. Go to YouTube and watch Brian's face.
Oh, please tell us, Brian.
I'm with Aaron on this one. I mean, I want to love it just because it's Men's Bourbon Society, you know. But finished products, like I think I said this earlier, I'm just not a fan of a lot of them. And this one's the same way. I'm not a wine fan. I'm not a port fan. I'm not a sherry fan. Is it Would I drink a glass of it? Sure, but
So
I leave the bottle on the shelf.
So here's what I told my buddy. He was overwhelmed by, maybe bewildered by the flavor.
Yeah.
And he sent me a picture of normal Angel's Envy and, amber, and then this incredibly dark red that we got from this single barrel. My response to him was, this is not so much a whiskey as it is a cocktail.
I agree with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I get that totally.
Think of this. This is like a Manhattan.
Yeah.
My wife would absolutely love this.
I was going to
She's
say,
a red wine drinker.
yes,
My
wife would
yes,
drink the whole bottle.
yes,
And this would be one I'd let her drink.
yes.
So let me throw this tasting note out there. It's not a positive one.
Oh, no.
To me, I get cigarette smoke from this. This is not quite licking an ashtray.
He said cigarette smoke.
Did you used to smoke?
Back a long time ago.
College days. Let's not.
Well, when I went
reminisce
to
on those days.
a bar, you drank and you smoked. And
Were you drinking early times?
I drank. Man, I was
Kentucky
highbrow.
Tavern.
No, well, this is after Kentucky Tavern. When I first started making a little bit of money, I drank highbrow Crown Royal and Coke, or Crown Royal and RC, which is what rookies had at the time.
Yeah.
So, and I drank a lot of those. So I might have smoked a little bit. To me, tell me there's not cigarette smoke somewhere in there.
I'm very impressionable.
Sure you are.
If you say I'm handsome, I believe you.
I do think you're handsome, Chuck.
God bless you. If you say that, then yes, I'm capable of saying, well, okay, I remember 30 years ago, Winston or something like that.
Yeah.
I think this is like an after dinner drink. This is like an aperitif
Dessert.
This
type
is
drink.
This is dessert. Now, this is not like any Angel's Envy I've ever had before. This is a singular bottle.
Hey, we all like Angel's Envy here. We're fans.
Believe me, this. How dark is that bottle?
I mean, that's red as. I mean, that's red.
This is it's a store pick. It's a
So
Bourbon Society pick. This is
were
not
all of the available. Were all the available picks like this, or were there some more towards a bourbon and more like how many did you?
What he's saying is, why in the hell did you pick this one?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I wasn't trying to get there, but
I in retrospect, I think this was the most singular flavor that we found that day.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is cool. This is different. This is something new to bring. Will it be universally accepted? I don't know. I think among wine drinkers,
I think intro bourbon drinkers, I think they'll enjoy this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not overly dry like a red wine,
Right.
Or a cab. So
and to tell you the truth, you picked the barrel.
Yeah.
So it was what you that's you get to pick the barrel. That's what's so cool about barrel picks is screw everybody else. This is what I want. Does it sell? It will sell because it's a Henderson Bourbon Society. If you were going to pick it for a store, then you have to we have to think about completely different. Like, will it sell at the store?
Yeah.
With this, it doesn't matter because everybody's in the society's coming to buy one or two or three because.
Well, after you said this is more like a cocktail than a bourbon,
it is.
I totally got it.
Yeah.
And I would drink this more in line of thinking this is a cocktail than a bourbon.
If I had a off the shelf Angel's Envy, I would have brought that. I just don't happen to have any because we drank it all.
and Chad, the thing about these finishes is they're all so different. You just never know. Like I've had several different finishes of bourbon or ryes, and you just never know what they're going to do. And I've never been on a barrel pick like Angel's Envy where they're all finished in some type of barrel.
Well, I think it's very interesting, and I'm glad. I really am glad that I've tried it, and don't feel like we're beating you up because it's really pretty good. It's just different than what I expected.
I will stick with this.
Yeah,
this is a cocktail in a bottle.
Yeah, absolutely, and
drop an ice cube in.
It's a great example of what finished products could be. Could be completely different than the regular juice.
I'm thinking that the folks at Angel Envy were looking. They found an unusual barrel, and maybe 2 or 3. I think we tried 4, and this was one. It was kind of like, let's throw this one at them. And Tim and I were like, yeah, we'll go with this.
And when you picked it, the person who was in charge of selling single barrels, did they come up and give you a hug, kiss you on the cheek, buy you dinner? I'm just kidding. It was different. It's a cocktail in a glass. It's a cocktail in a bottle.
Yeah,
you're right.
So
this bottle would last a long time.
You're right.
So I think bourbon is moving towards like the vodka and Scotch. I wouldn't say Scotch. I'd say vodka category, where you have all these SKUs of products to reach a huge audience. And I think bourbon's moving that way. There's a bourbon for everybody, whether it be a red wine, cask finish, or a just straight bourbon, a rye. So there's something for everyone. You just have to find the right bottle.
That's it.
Well, all right, let's find that next rye bottle. What do we have next here, gentlemen?
All right, so this is a sugar filled out of Louisiana. It is a rye. Now, here we go. You wanted finished, so I brought finished. This is a rye that was aged 5 years. Then they finished it in a tequila barrel.
What?
Okay. Then they moved it from the tequila barrel and they finished it in an orange liqueur barrel.
Oh, okay, boys. Now you're making fun of me.
Shit.
Now what are we getting into?
So,
well, let me tell you, the
out of Gonzales, Louisiana.
To me, the nose is kind of like an evergreen kind of.
It really is.
It's like
I get that.
Brian said, "Oh."
Well, we're our noses are used to being surprised right now.
I think my nose
it's not
has been
red
burned
though.
out.
That's
red.
true.
So this is a rye. What's it going to taste like?
Well,
So
on the
said
nose,
it's a
you get
5-year?
it's 5-year rye, aged in tequila, then aged in orange liqueur.
Wow,
You're going to get orange.
all over it.
That is orange. I mean, I'm ready to sing Rocky Top. That's so orange. Okay, that is fan. That is.
We're cutting that.
Yeah, so that nose reminds me of if you ever had a little cutie orange.
Yes.
Oh,
When you start peeling that,
Right.
that smells like a cutie.
Almost like a bitter smell at some point from the.
Well, the rind always,
rind.
will be kind of bitter. It's just part of it.
and the taste is there too. I mean, it tastes kind of like you taste that rind a little bit.
I can't stop nosing it.
Yeah.
I know it smells so good. The only issue I have with this bottle is you can't find it around here.
It's a bourbon.
Yeah, it is a bourbon. No, this one's a rye.
Oh, okay.
So, a friend of the podcast lived in Louisiana. He's since moved up here to work at Pittsburgh Tank and Tower, and he brings Brandon. He's a great guy, and likes all the episodes, listens to all the episodes. And I was like, hey, there's nothing better I have in my cabinet than to bring. As far as finished goes, this is finished more than you'll ever find.
Double finished,
right?
Coming from Louisiana, a lot of people can't get their hands on it.
Yeah,
but it is just like you said earlier. It's an expression. What can finishing a rye or a bourbon really do to that product? It completely. If you think of this as a regular, just a straight up rye, versus this,
I get more tequila and more orange than I do rye.
The orange is overwhelming.
Yeah,
it is.
I like orange.
To me, the orange is it's
Over the
dominant
top.
on the nose, but on the taste, that's tequila, and I like tequila.
Yeah.
Yep.
To me, it's like an
Tequila
orange flavored tequila.
Tequila, man. Yeah,
That is really interesting.
it is.
I don't know, finished products, man.
And
You
can
love
go-
them or you don't.
You can go from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other.
Yeah.
Like you can really, really love all finished products. I found one today I didn't really care about. And I found one today that I was very surprised in. So, Brent, which one of the ones we tried today, which one was your favorite?
To me, Starlight runs away with the pack. This is one I would spend money on, and that honey finish is nice. Would I like it to be a little bit stronger, a little bit higher proof? Yeah, I think I would. I think you could go another 5%.
Just for research purposes, how much money are we talking? Would you, Brian, I'm helping us out here.
$24.
Okay.
So, how many honey finish bottles are you going to have in your bar? If I'm going to buy a honey finish product, it's going to be Bourbon Rabbi. If I can only have one, all right, because he's got the perfect one for me.
Yeah, but
this one is pretty close.
That Huber is pretty nice.
It's pretty close. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to have double oaked Woodford? Just for sentimental reasons, I'll probably keep a bottle of that at all times. I'll have it on the boat. Please drink responsibly when you're boating. But yeah.
So for Brent, the double oak Woodford we'll always have Paris.
We'll always have
Landing.
Paris. Yes. We'll always have Hubies. Okay.
Hubies.
So and
places
Kawa.
on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah. So I don't know. What about you? What about you, Brian?
So the Starlight and the Sugarfield are my two.
Yeah.
And they're neck and neck. I mean,
really,
it's almost like cheating whenever you can age something in a different barrel and get this complexity of different tastes that you never get from a first time charred oak barrel. They're both so good. I enjoy both of them. So yeah, I mean, I can't make a decision.
Chuck, where is your head?
Again, the Angel's Envy that I brought, it wasn't really fair. I should have brought store-bought because this is not like any Angel's Envy we've ever had. Try Angel's Envy. It's bourbon or rye. It's tasty, tasty, tasty. This is a whole different animal. If you can find a store pick of Angel's Envy and this dark and you want to be kind of experimental and you want to have a cocktail in a bottle, try that. Yeah, that Huber honey finish, I would never in a million years have guessed. Yeah, that's my pick tonight.
Aaron, what do you think, buddy?
Where my palate is today, I'm 100% in favor of the Huber honey finish. I just think the fact that they got that much honey from Indiana, it's not overly sweet.
Nope.
It's just
It's a hint.
It's bourbon.
It's a hint.
With
it's
a splash of
infused,
honey.
so there's a difference between infused and actual honey.
Yeah.
And
I think we all agree if with a finished product, we want a hint of that flavor.
Yes.
If it's going to be a hint of blueberry or a hint of honey or a hint of tequila, just a little bit like, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
I have had a bourbon finished in a tequila barrel. That's kind of like, I'm sorry, not bourbon finished in a rum barrel. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I remember my worst rum. You don't want that. Yeah.
You don't want that.
No.
If I want like my favorite time I ever had orange, then that's what you want with a finished product.
If I want to drink rum, I'll drink Appleton's Estate rum and enjoy my memories of Jamaica, and it'll be fantastic. Yaman.
Rastaman vibrations.
I will say, some of the best rye I've ever had was aged in Appleton rum barrels.
Well, there you go.
I would drink that with you, sir.
My goodness.
I know that the kiddos like Malibu and some of those cry coconut flavored rums.
Dirty word.
I know, right? But if you like
put
alcohol,
$1 in the jar.
Try Appleton Estate. Maybe one of the reserves, maybe the 9-year. Oh my!
I've never tried that. See, I get sick with bamboo and
No. Get to Appleton Estate, Brian. Come on now.
Yeah, and so there you go. Finished whiskeys. Most of these are bourbons. We have one rye. It's a trend. It's something that's going to stick with us for a while. It's diversification. It's interesting. You never know what you're going to get.
Don't give up on it. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, please drink responsibly.